Hi friends, this is Dr. Shailesh Pai from Mangalore, and this presentation will be on the principles of intramedullary nailing. In this presentation, let us introduce ourselves to the concept of an intramedullary nail, look at the history, what are the different generations of nail. This is a very important exam question. Know the concepts in reaming, the concept of a working length, what is static and what is a dynamic locking, what is dynamization with respect to a nailing, what are polar screws, and some topics regarding recent advances. Nailing is a gold standard in treatment of all diaphyseal fractures, especially in the lower limb, and the indications have even increased to include metadiaphyseal fractures. Why? This is because it preserves the soft tissue envelope. Since it is done in more or less a closed technique, it preserves the extraosseous blood supply. During plating, we might encounter a situation where the periosteum could be damaged due to the plating instrumentation, and in nailing this will be preserved. We have learned that nailing heals with relative stability and hence heals with callus. It is a load sharing implant. That means the implant helps to share the load along with the bone. So these patients could be allowed to bear weight pretty early as compared to a plate. A plate is a load bearing implant, so the entire weight, the loads are borne by the implant itself, and hence before consolidation, if the patient bears weight, the implant might break. Whereas in a nail, since it's a load sharing, the patients can bear weight early. There is no need for any other bracing once we have splinted the limb with a nail. And since these patients can bear weight early, it helps us with early rehabilitation. If we look into the history, it is nice to understand how the concept of nailing has evolved over the period of years. Way back in 1880s and 90s, ivory pegs were used by the physicians to close the gap and achieve some stability between the broken bones. This was especially done in cases of pseudoarthrosis. The concept of an intramedullary nail was introduced by Nicholas Sen. He was the first to describe the principles associated with intramedullary nailing, and he was the first to suggest that the entire length of the femur should be splinted to get a greater biomechanical advantage. What we just saw was until about then, the physicians used a small ivory pegs and did not splint the entire length, but Nicholas Sen understood the principles and the biomechanics and suggested that the entire length could be used for our advantage. So the first experiments with these nails was developed by Gluck. What he did was the ivory pegs was converted into a lengthier nail and transverse pins were used. Like was told, it was used for pseudoarthrosis, and parallelly Haygroves was the first to use a metallic intramedullary nail. What he did was he used a broad steel device within the canal of the bone, and he used this in gunshot fractures. We could see that a broad stainless steel strut was put inside the canal of the femur in those patients who had gunshot injuries. This was by Haygroves in 1920s. But when we talk of modern nailing, the father of nailing is Gerhard Künchner from Germany. He called the nailing as marrow nailing, that is within the canal. His work had a significant impact not only on the design but as well as the techniques that we are currently employing. So he designed the nails as well as taught us the different techniques of using this to get optimum results. His first nails were V in cross section. and he realized that the forces were acting perpendicular, but there was no forces acting to contradict that, and hence next design he brought about a clover leaf design, and he talked about the principle of an elastic recoil. What he mentioned is that when inserting this clover leaf nail, due to the forces acting, the clover leaf is compressed from all sides and it loses its shape, but once it is within the canal, it, due to elasticity, gets back to its original shape and causes the stability across the fracture. So this is from his original article where he has shown the pictures of his first nailing that he had employed. So like was told, his initial design was a V shaped in the cross section, but then he switched over to a clover leaf shape to get better stability. And both of these were designed for use in a femoral shaft fracture. There is an interesting concept that happened during the Second World War. Gerard Kushner was posted in a army hospital close to the battlefield, and all the fractures, femur shaft fractures that are brought into his department, he used to fix them with this nail. And the US and the other allied forces, their soldiers were not able to get an internal fixation, and hence the Germany had some upper hand because their soldiers were able to rehabilitate and get back to the war front much earlier than the US counterparts. Although post-war he did advocate and taught about his techniques, not many US surgeons employed this technique, and the few surgeons who did employ had to face a lot of complications and failures. This was because Germany was very well advanced in able to process the implants. They were able to manufacture and engineer the implants much better with a better quality of the implant material as compared to their US counterparts way back in 1940s, 1950s, and hence Kunsher was able to achieve a huge success rate with his nailing technique, whereas his US counterparts did not have such favorable results. In 1937, the Rush brothers brought about their thin stainless steel elastic nails, and they came out with the concept of 3-point fixation. Later on, it was proved that even Kunsher's nailing with the clover leaf was working on this 3-point fixation itself, but Rush brothers were the first to talk about 3-point fixation. Not only did Kunsher devise the nails, but he also developed flexible reamers. He understood the importance of reaming the canal and passing the nail to accommodate the wider size nail, because at that time the nail quality was such that the bending stiffness was directly proportional, and hence wider diameter nail means the stiffness is more, and hence these implants did not break because most of these nails were not interlocked nails. So in order to accommodate a wider size nails, he developed a reaming system with hand-held flexible reamers, and he was the first to invent this type of flexible reamers. So this is also his contribution to the technique of nailing that we are using so common nowadays. Then there is one more particular design of nail devised by Modney and Bambra that they introduced in 1953. This is their original article published in 1953, where the nail was a cross section long stainless steel structure with multiple holes all along. So any interlocking could be done. Although screws were not used, pins were used to provide some rotational stability for interlocking. So these were how it looked, and we could see that such device was used for femur, for a humerus, as well as for a tibia with good success under their hands. So this is a very interesting design and a concept that they brought about.